Imogen Barford, and I'm head of harp at the Guildhall School of Music in London. And I also teach a course in Alexander technique and body mapping, which we call Move Well, Play Better. Kind of says it all, that. One of my favourite phrases is one from Meir Schneider. The musician is the real instrument and must be kept finely tuned. So we're going to think about the finely tuned harpist today and how using the Alexander technique could help us to play with more comfort and freedom. So that's a big question actually, and obviously we can't answer the whole of that question today. I just want today to look at two things where we say things to ourselves, things that we've been taught in our lessons, things that our teachers say to us. And I'd like to look at whether some of those things are as helpful as they could be. And perhaps whether we could think of a way of translating them for ourselves to make them more helpful. So the two things are to do with the harp, obviously, but also because everybody has a body, they will be relevant across the board. The first one is sitting up straight, and the second one is elbows up, which is something a lot of harpists are told all the time. So let's start with sitting up straight. Sitting up straight. What does it mean? We're all very good and we try very hard to do what our teachers tell us. So when your teacher says sit up straight, you try and do something, although we're not really sure what it is that is being asked for. So what does it mean sitting up straight? Well, usually we would lift the rib cage and shorten the muscles at the back of the body. And this is something that we have to keep doing. It's not something that will feel very natural, and it will create tension. And also, we don't really want our back to be straight because the back is curved and needs to be curved. So because the spine is curved, the idea of having a straight back is actually very strange. So instead, let's forget about sitting up straight and let's look for balance. Balance is the state from where any movement is easiest. So if we're in balance, that's a great place to be. If you put your two hands underneath your bottom, so you just sit up and put your hands under your bottom, and you can feel two things that stick out there, and they are your sitting bones, and they are rounded at the bottom, and you notice that you can rock backwards and forwards on your sitting bones. So if you keep your hands there under your bottom and you experiment, when you sit up straight, I think you'll notice that your sit bones have gone behind you that way. And equally, if you put them back under your bottom, you'll find that when you collapse down the front, some people do sit like that, you'll find that the sitting bones have gone this way. And that's just quite nice to feel in yourself. If you're not really sure where a good sitting place is, and it'll never be an actual place, it'll always be a sort of rebalancing and rebalancing. But it's a really good way of doing it is to sit up straight, let it go, collapse, let it go, and you'll find that in the middle is somewhere where balance is. So one thing that's interesting is that when we try and play a hard thing on the harp, something that we think of as hard, or perhaps actually something quite near our faces, quite up here. I'm trying not to use the word up actually for reasons that you'll understand in a minute. But when we've got this hard bit, what happens usually is that as we get towards the hard bit, we start to lift ourselves off the chair. And as we get nearer and nearer the hard bit, we get more and more off the chair. So just when we need to be most in balance, we decide that we're not going to do that. So a great plan would be, as you get near the hard bit, or the bit that is coming there, start to say to yourself, sitting bones, can I feel my sitting bones? And as you play the hard bit, keep thinking that and see what effect it has, because I expect that you'll find that being in balance just at those hard moments is absolutely crucial and really will make it easier. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was this idea of elbows up. We do need, on playing the harp, we need to have this reasonably flat. We don't want this kind of thing and we don't want that, because the muscles and the tendons that are attaching to the fingers are in this part of the arm mostly. So we want a nice easy run there. We don't want a great big gait. So having said that, when we think of the word elbows up, and our teachers are shouting that at us all the time, elbows up, we again don't know what to do, but we will tend to be bringing the shoulder in a little bit and kind of lifting the elbow. And because it's our elbow, we don't need to lift it. We just need to want it to be somewhere. So the idea of elbows up creating a kind of tension and a lift in the arm is very unhelpful. What would be more useful is to think about maybe putting a pencil on the end of your elbow, the pointy bit, and thinking about that pencil drawing a line on the wall. And that will create a lovely sense of length in the arm. You'll be lengthening towards the elbow and away from the shoulder. So the shoulder will have a lot of space, and so will the elbow, and so will the hand, the wrist, the fingers, and everything else. So this kind of lengthening is really, really useful. I would be delighted if you had a little try of those things. So not sitting up straight and not thinking about elbows up. Elbows out is a nice snappy way to think of it if you're just saying it to yourself. And be careful if you are used to saying things like sitting up straight to yourself, that even if you're not overdoing it like I just was, there might be little ghosts of that in what you're doing. So just gently saying to yourself, I'm not going to sit up straight, and I'm going to think about my elbows being out. That would be a really useful, softening kind of thought to say to yourself. I hope that's a very small, useful snippet of the sort of things we talk about in Alexander Technique and how extremely useful it can be. And I do hope that you will want to explore further and get all the wonderful benefits of the ease and comfort that will come with using the Alexander Technique. Thank you very much.